Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you all are doing good and great. It's me Mahesh, your physics teacher, and you're watching me on SMR Online Physics with another beautiful class of physics. I'm back again. So far we have been discussing about light and its effect. How does it behave on mirrors and lenses? We have discussed a lot of details. If you're new to my channel, please go back, and there are plentiful of videos. I think around 20 videos are done on the topic of light so far, and that is purely geometrical optics, right? So today onwards I will discuss about the devices which have been designed by humans based upon the reflection and refraction of light by mirrors and lenses. Yes, you are right. We will talk about how microscopes and telescopes are designed, and I also previously discussed about how a periscope works out, how a kaleidoscope works out, right? So today, when I talk about optical devices, the entire inspiration probably for the human beings came from the most natural, beautiful organ with which all the living beings are being blessed with. That is the human eye. For humans, definitely is the eye one of the most beautiful organs with which we see the world, with which we see the entire colorful world around us. Just imagine that what would be the world like if I don't have eyes? It would be highly impossible, but there are many unfortunate people who have gone blind, who have some problems with their eyes and couldn't see and cannot see. Definitely a kudos to all those people that they have been so courageous and brave enough to live a life without eyes. But we are fortunate enough, may not be very fortunate, but again, lenses come to my rescue here. I have some defects of vision, as many of the young people nowadays do suffer from, right? So today I will start my discussion on the most beautiful optical device we all have, the eye. Are you ready for that? Yes? So welcome. So have you wondered about your eyes? We are blessed with two beautiful eyes placed on the forehead, that is just below the forehead, I mean to say, differentiated or differenced by few centimeters. They make us see the entire world around us, good and great. They can't see each other unless I see myself in the mirror. And my angle of vision, if you observe it closely, it is slightly above 180 degrees. But with one eye, the angle of vision decreases, right? It's slightly greater than 90 degrees. You can roughly say it will be covering around 120 degrees or so. But at the same time, if I have been blessed with one eye, still you may argue that it was good enough to see the entire world. Somewhat I agree. But we would have missed something. And let me tell you or demonstrate that to you with a very simple eye trick experiment. Alright, are you ready for that? Let's do it. Without cheating yourself, just do this simple exercise along with me. Get your two fingers right in front of your eyes at arm length, and with your two eyes open, make the two tips of the fingers meet. Yeah, not a big deal. Do the same thing with one eye closed. Do not cheat yourself. You will have a lot of fun. Yes, 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 yeah. I missed it. I hope you too have missed it, right? It's not your fault, but that is how we are designed. With one single eye, our brain loses a bit of perception of the third dimension of this world, that is the depth. And that's why we need two eyes to give us the third dimension called depth. Alright? So with two eyes open, this was not even a task to even consider matching the two tips. But with one eye closed and one eye open, you could easily see that you just missed out by a few inches or centimeters. Am I right? Okay. Because we all might have played it, no? Let's do that. We all might have done this also. Taking an object right in front of the eyes, in the middle of these two eyes, with one eye closed, you find an image of this chalk piece has been transferred to your brain. And if I close the other eye, there is a shift in the position of the piece of chalk in my hand. And if you do that faster, you find there is a shift in the position of the image formed by each of these eyes. It means that each of my eye is not exactly sending the same signal to my brain. But do I see two chalk pieces when I have exactly one in my hand? The answer is absolutely no. And it's all because of my brain part. The brain is actually helping us to synthesize all the information and showing us exactly what am I seeing, what is the size, what is the color, and how far is the object. Everything is beautifully done by your brain. So my dear, the eye as an organ is only a window to this open, beautiful entire world. It allows the light to get into you through the pupil, as I will discuss about it. It reaches to the film of the eye, that is called retina, and it triggers off a reaction at that point, and just signal reaches to my brain part at almost the speed of light. And the brain has to do the remaining function. That's what we are going to discuss now, right? Let's get started with the human eye. Let me draw on the board the entire structure of the human eyeball sideways, all right? So when you see exactly the eyeball sideways, you just try it for your friend's eye. Looking into the side view of this eye, you'll find that exactly the front portion is in fact bulged outward, all right? So let me show you how it looks like. And this is how exactly to draw. This is the front portion, which I show as a bulged out portion. And then we have this entire eyeball. Yes. If you can practice and get this shape, I think you're perfect there. So let me draw it one more layer. This is how it looks like. This front bulged out portion is the most important part of the eye in connection to the light getting refracted. And that front bulged out portion is called as cornea, right? So let us quickly finish off this. This is a dark inner layer, which is also called as choroid. And when you see someone's eye, you generally find to see very few parts of the human eye. So suppose, for example, right now if you see my eye through the spectacle lenses, you'll see only the dark circular diaphragm and the white part. The white part, in fact, my dear, is an opaque part of the eye. This is called sclera, which does not in fact allow the light to enter inside, but is a very protective, tough layer. It protects the inner sensitive parts of my eye. And this dark diaphragm, what you see, is actually called as the iris muscles. But if you really focus onto your eye, just try it after this class if you haven't done it in a mirror or so, that in this dark muscular diaphragm at the center there is another dark opening, and that tiny opening is called pupil. The size of the pupil does not remain always constant. The size of the pupil can be easily changed with the help of the iris muscles depending upon the light intensity. If there is too much light in the room, the pupil shrinks to the smallest possible size. And if there is dimness or darkness in the room and there is some light peeping in through the ventilator or the window, then you'll find that you're able to see something, because to make us see something, the brain has ordered the iris muscles to get dilated and the pupil gets dilated. Pupil grows in size so that whatever light is available in the surroundings, so that it can get into my eyes and form some kind of an image so that I can be safe enough. That's it. The pupil can easily change its shape and size. In fact, the size, that is with the help of iris muscles. Alright? So let us see in this diagram. This is the human eyeball. So according to the standard definition, for a healthy adult eye, the human eyeball is approximately 2.3 centimeters. This is around 2.3 centimeters for a healthy adult eye. This front portion of the eye, which I show it with this orange colored chalk, this is the most transparent part of the eye. This is called by the name cornea. So cornea is the transparent refractive part of the eye, which is convex in shape, and maximum refraction takes place at the cornea. Now going to the innermost parts, this is how to exactly draw. In the interior part of the eye, there is a crystalline eye lens made up of jelly type material, which almost resembles the shape of a convex lens. And this eye lens is held onto its position with the help of ciliary muscles. But try to understand, this is very superlative eye lens. It can change its shape and size to make us see the things around us, whether it's close by or far away, very, very clearly. But right in front of this eye lens, there we go, we have this dark muscular circular diaphragm. That is called your iris muscles. Alright? So there's a tiny gap which I left over, that is the tiny opening window, that is called as pupil. So let us name it all. So before reaching to the pupil, our nature has designed us in such a way that you get to see there is a fluid, there is a very transparent fluid as soon as we cross the cornea. So let me name this fluid. This fluid is called as aqueous humor. Aqueous humor is the name of this fluid. Then we have this tiny opening through which light in fact enters in, that is called as pupil, of which I was talking about, whose sight never remains fixed out. It depends upon the light intensity. And this dark muscular diaphragm, what you get to see in someone's eye. For most Asians and Indians, it is mostly brownish in color, or some Europeans or Americans, we exactly do not know, but the iris may have different color, like blue or green, as you might have seen somewhere. So that is the only colorful part of the eye. Very interesting. But this is the eye as an organ which makes me to see the entire world very, very colorful. This is your iris muscles. And on the top and on the bottom of this eye lens, we have these ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles, in fact, hold on to the shape and size of the eye lens. So here we go. This is called as the crystalline eye lens. Right? That's it. You're getting all the shape right? So as we move interior of this eye, there is again a lot of space left over. This place is actually filled up with a fluid, and that fluid is called vitreous humor. So some students tend to get confused initially with the names of these two fluids in front and behind the eye lens. So it's very easy. My technique is alphabetically. A comes first, V comes second. Simple. A for aqueous humor, V for vitreous humor. I think you got it right. Okay. So as the light travels through its journey through the various parts of the eye, finally it has to reach this back surface of the eyeball. And this back surface is actually made up of millions of light sensitive cells. Those are called namely rod cells and cone cells. So this film, in fact, is the film on which the entire image has to be formed, or in fact the light rays have to be exactly focused. This is what we call by the name retina. This is your retina. Generally it can be also said it is made up of photosensitive cells or light sensitive cells, but to name it exactly, there are two types: rod cells and cone cells. Right, I'll talk about retina also in the meanwhile. And there is a place where this retina gets connected to this huge nerve which finally carries all the signal to the brain. So this is the way to the brain. So this nerve which carries the signal to the brain, in fact, is called by the name optic nerve. So there is a position, there is a place on my retina where the light sensitive cells are completely absent, and that is this place where the optic nerve pierces into the retina. So since this place does not have any light sensitive cells, and hence if light happens to get focused onto that point, the signal will never reach to the brain. So this place is perfectly called as blind spots. This is the blind spot. So it is present in everyone's eyes, okay? It is present in every healthy eye. There is a place where the optic nerve is in fact piercing the retina. So whenever we have seen the objects, now whenever we see that, we can only focus at one object. For example, this is the object right in front of my eye. So with two eyes, to this chalk piece and this another colorful chalk piece, I really can't focus both of them simultaneously. If I'm focusing on the orange that is on my left, I lose the focus of the right hand piece of chalk. You can try it. With two eyes, you can only focus at one given object at a time. And that well-focused image is actually formed somewhere here, just behind your eyelids. So there's a small dimple on the retina, which is actually blessed with plentiful of cone cells and rod cells, and this in fact is scientifically called by the name fovea centralis. This is called as fovea centralis, where the bright, sharp image of an object is formed for an eye. So my dear, these are the various parts of the eye which we need to discuss. Eye as an optical device. Alright? So coming back to this topic of retina, which I'd like to close it here, it is made up of large number of rod cells and plentiful of cone cells. Rod cells, my dear, rod cells are very, very light sensitive. Means even in dimness, if you are able to see something, that is only because your eye is blessed with plentiful of rod cells. They may range in 120 millions of them. And on the other hand, cone cells are also light sensitive, but these are more sensitive to more amount of light. Means there has to be a good amount of light to make you see the color of the object. So they are very color sensitive cells. So cone cells are comparatively lesser in number than the rod cells. That's why in the dim rooms where the light intensity is lesser, we may able to see the things around. We may figure out what is exactly there. Just like as you get into a cinema hall from bright sunny sunshine outside, you find that immediately there's darkness because the pupil needs time to adjust, and then because of the dimness of the room, you slightly find it uneasy in the beginning, then you slightly see the way around. But you may miss the colors because that amount of light may not trigger off the cone cells to make us see the colors. That's how beautiful our retina is designed like. So my dear, these are the various parts of a human eye. I hope you're able to follow me. So if you want, you can just note it down. So the eye, as you have seen right now, I think you understood every part of it. Alright? So how does it exactly function? It's all about the eye receives the light from the outer world, The light is incident upon the cornea. The cornea refracts the light. Then it passes through aqueous humor. It also refracts and adjusts the light a bit. Then it happens to pass through the pupil, the opening of the eye, and then it passes through the eye lens, which has a varied refractive index depending upon the position of the object. And accordingly, the eye lens will adjust its shape and size, and the refraction takes place by the eye lens, then passes through the vitreous humor, and finally it has to get focused onto the retina. As soon as this electromagnetic radiation, that is light, is incident upon the retina, the rod cells and cone cells receive the signal and they trigger off a chemical reaction. This chemical reaction produces tiny electrical impulses, and those impulses are carried via the optic nerve to the visible part of the brain, means the department of the brain which makes us to see the things around. Alright? So the brain has some function to do now. First function is to receive the signal from these two eyes to the same part of the brain. Right? So that overlapping of images, you remember. Two, it has to analyze the signal received. Analyze means trying to understand what is the person actually viewing. And then finally it has to come to an interpretation. Interpretation refers to let us know, to let the person know what exactly is the person viewing. The color, the size, the distance of the object, what the person is actually viewing. So this happens in the flick of my finger. It happens really fast. So that is the beauty of our eye. So the most beautiful part of this eye is that it is a design system by the nature which has varying refractive indices. The cornea's refractive indices, aqueous and vitreous humor refractive indices, and this eye lens do not have exactly the same refractive index, and hence this varying refractive index system allows the light rays to meet perfectly onto the retina. So my dear, let me rub off this diagram and let me show you how exactly it works out and how without changing your position from a given place you are able to see the nearby as well as the far away things so clearly. And that special ability of the eye lens to make us see the nearby things as well as far away things so clear is called by the name power of accommodation. So that's what I'm going to discuss now. That is called power of accommodation. So if you just focus on the word accommodation, the word accommodation means itself accommodate. Accommodate means to adjust. To adjust. What should adjust? The shape and size of the eye lens. The shape and size of the eye lens will adjust means the focal length of the eye lens will get adjusted, and thus a clear, sharp image will be formed on the retina. So let me show you how it all exactly happens with a simplified diagram of this eye. Whenever you have to draw a simplified eye diagram for your understanding, this much is enough. This is well understood as the eyeball. And now when you're focusing on the nearby object, the brain has ordered the ciliary muscles to get stretched out. We call it as stretched condition. Always you might have found in your real life experience that this condition is really strainful on your eyes. They get stretched out and there is an excessive curvature of the eye lens. The eye lens gets bulged out. This gets bulging out. A thick eye lens will have shorter focal length, and just in my previous class I discussed about the power of the lens. Shorter the focal length, larger will be the converging or diverging ability. So this is an excellent position to see something new, to see something nearby, not new exactly. Yeah. How much nearby you can see it very clear. That is, standardized definition is a healthy adult eye can see something very close as 25 centimeters from the eye. This is called as the least distance of distinct vision. Least distance of distinct vision. Also in short, it is called as the near point of the eye. This is called as the near point of the eye. So for a healthy adult eye, it is around 25 centimeters. So when the object is very close, then a divergent beam of light is incident upon the cornea, and now the cornea has to converge the light rays with the help of this entire system, and thus a perfection of converging action is actually obtained. So this is what we exactly want to happen, to make you see the nearby things very, very clear. The eyelids need to get bulged out, the focal length needs to get adjusted, and then the eye can really make you to see the things clear. So here the image is actually formed. The image formed, my dear, is always a real and inverted image. That signal will be made upside down by your brain. So this state of the eye is better known as accommodated state of the eye. This is called as the accommodated state of an eye. This means adjusted state. You also might have found in your reading times that it's very difficult to focus on the books for a longer period of time. There can be some strain. Be careful and do not get really too close to the objects. But for very young people, as young as 10 or below 10 years old, the near point can be really as close as 7 to 8 centimeters from the eye. The eyes are very fresh and healthy. But as the person grows older and older, the near point can also recede away as far as 1 or 2 meters, that is around 200 centimeters away from the eye. So this is the standardized near point of a healthy adult eye. So come on, please. So now let's discuss about what happens when you see something very far. Will your eyelids remain as it is? Definitely not. And the position of the condition of the ciliary muscles also need to change. Then only you will be able to see, or we all will be able to see, the far away objects also very, very clear. Alright? So let me draw a visual representation. You get your eyeballs correct. And now when the person is trying to view something very, very far, maybe a far away building, a far away tree, or maybe even the moon in the sky, what exactly happens is the eye lens gets slightly thinned off and the ciliary muscles get relaxed. The ciliary muscles getting relaxed means your eye is in a relaxed state. So here there is a small adjustment in the focal length. The eye lens becomes thinner. Becomes thinner indicates that the focal length is slightly readjusted to slightly becoming longer than the previous condition. So this is the farthest I am imagining, like you are seeing something very, very far. So when the objects are very far, we know that a parallel beam of light is incident upon the eye. Something like this. And this parallel beam of light has to be now converged by the entire system of your eye, and hence the beautiful convergence again takes place perfectly onto the retina. That's it. So an image is formed on the retina. Thus, as usual, the signal is carried off to your brain, and thus the brain makes you to see the faraway thing also very, very clearly. So this is all happening because of the spatial ability of the eye lens to adjust itself by changing the shape and size with the help of the ciliary muscles. In slightly technical language, we will say the eye lens is able to adjust its focal length. And focal length, you remember, my dear, is connected to the terminology called the power of the lens. Both are inversely proportional to each other. So how far an eye can see, how far a healthy adult eye can see? There is no limit. So we take the farthest point. The far point of the human eye is considered to be infinity. Means you can see as far as you want, depending upon the size of the object for sure. If the object is too huge, just like a star in the sky, and then from light years away from the star, you see it like a tiny dot in the sky, right? But if the object is a very small object and you're too far away, maybe it may not be even visible. So do not misunderstand this term called infinity. So for a healthy adult eye, the range of vision can be in between from infinity to 25 centimeters from the eye. This is the range of vision of a healthy eye. Hope you understood by today's class on human eye as an optical device, how beautifully the eye has been designed to make us see the things around. So it is our utmost responsibility to take care of our eyes. All right? Eat the right food, splash some clean water morning and evenings, and do not really rub off the eyes when there is some irritation. Rather see a doctor. But if my eye lens or the ciliary muscles or cornea gets slightly defected off, slightly the curvature changes, then maybe I have to see a doctor again. That may not be called as a disease, but a refractive defect of vision, which I would like to discuss in my next class. So don't miss the next class on SMR Online Physics. If you really like this class, do share it among your friends. And if you're new to this channel, do subscribe my channel, SMR Online Physics. Thank you all for watching. Have a great time. See you again. Bye-bye.